It's U of L Today on 93.9 The Ville. Here's your host, Mark Hebert.
And welcome to U of L Today with Mark Hebert. So glad you're joining us today. As you know, those of you who listen to the show regularly, this is a show about all the great things going on at the University of Louisville with our faculty, our staff, our students, research, academics, all that sort of good stuff that you can go brag to your friends about if you're a U of L fan. We got the president of the University of Louisville coming on for the first time today, but before we do, I want to talk to you a little bit about what we've got coming up. You may or may not know that U of L has one of the top-rated entrepreneurship programs in the country. It's rated in the top 10 by some higher education ranking services. Sharon Carrick teaches in U of L's entrepreneurship program. She'll be here to tell us what an entrepreneurship program is and why U of L is so good at it. But first, as I mentioned, if you've driven anywhere near the U of L campus, the Belknap campus in Old Louisville, you can't help but notice the transformation on the campus that it's undergone since 2002. That's the year that Dr. James Ramsey took over as president of U of L. And those changes at U of L have not been just cosmetic. Things you can see, they are improvements which haven't been as obvious, perhaps, in academics, research, and community involvement. Dr. Ramsey is here making his first visit to the U of L Today with Mark Hebert Show. Welcome, Dr. Ramsey.
Great to be with you, Mark.
Glad you're here.
You got pretty nice digs over here.
It's not bad, is it? We've also got an audience, just so you know, on Metro TV that watches this program fairly religiously. So talking to Metro TV and the 93.9 listeners. Well, let's talk about what's been going on at the University of Louisville here in the last few months. You've got a graduating class coming up this month in December. How many folks are graduating?
We expect over 1,000 to graduate. That would be undergraduate, PhDs, all different degrees.
And so how does that compare to what was graduating from U of L, 15 years ago, say?
Today, for a full academic year, we're graduating about 1,100 more students, baccalaureate degrees, than we were when the Post-Secondary Education Reform Act was passed about 12, 15 years ago. So one of our mandates was to recruit better students and give them an opportunity to be successful, and we're doing that. And our baccalaureate degrees are up. Our PhD degrees have been up. They've kind of flattened out. But that's one of the things that we're supposed to do as a public policy mandate, and our numbers are real good. And it's a little hard to tell what our full year numbers will be just based on the winter commencement. It's the smaller of the commencements. Right. But we expect another outstanding year in terms of our overall numbers of graduates.
And you often talk, I've heard you talk in general terms, that it's really important to have more college graduates, not only because the city of Louisville's got this 70,000 degree program, but it just raises the whole economic opportunity and economic development in Louisville. Better jobs, right?
It absolutely does. The correlation between college degree and all the economic indicators from unemployment rate to income are, the R squares are one. And then people who have more education generally are healthier, and we have fewer social issues. So, again, this goes back to the mandate that University of Louisville was given by the Post-Secondary Education Reform Act, and that was to be a premier, nationally recognized metropolitan research university. And it was for all these reasons. Great cities have great research universities, so we are an integral part of this community, the growth of this community. But we're also important to the state. So Louisville's the largest area in the state, and for Louisville to succeed, it needs a great university like U of L, and for Kentucky to grow, it needs a great city like Louisville.
And what percentage of the freshmen that walk into the door at the University of Louisville will graduate compared to what it was 13 years ago?
Well, 13 years ago it was about 30%. Today it's over 53%.
And is that good enough?
No, we have a plan, the 2020 plan, that takes us out to the year 2020. And by that year, we would like to be at 60.5. So we've got more work to do. We're very proud of the progress we've made academically and with our research programs, but there's no question we've still got a lot to do.
Well, and you're getting better and better kids, too, aren't you?
Absolutely.
The university?
Yeah, our freshman class, again, this year we could say was the best academically prepared freshman class. Great ACT scores, 25.5, an all-time high. And again, that's in the context of the average for the state being around 20. So we've been on an upward trajectory in terms of the quality of our freshman class. There's no question, again, that helps us in getting those students, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and then graduating.
We're talking with Dr. James Ramsey, the president of the University of Louisville. Well, let's talk about some of the things that happened in this past semester. You had a big grant that got down on the Health Sciences campus for Youth Prevention Center to set up. It's about a $5.7 million grant.
$5.7 million.
And what's that intended to do? What's the whole idea behind that grant, and where's it going to be located?
Well, again, it fits right in with our mission, and we've adopted an area of Louisville called our Signature Partnership Initiative. It's in the heart of that area. And when Craig Blakely came in as the dean of our School of Public Health, he really focused on what we could do as an institution, and his college could do, the School of Social Work of Public Health, to be focused in that area in a more meaningful way. And so they went out and got this grant to deal with a very important issue of violence and youth violence. And so they'll be doing research and clinical work in that area.
And also, we've got a designation again as a military-friendly school. I know that's been something that you felt very important with Fort Knox and other things around. So what does it mean to be a military-friendly school? What do we have at UofL that makes us a military-friendly school?
Well, we've committed a lot of things to being military-friendly and to offering educational programs to students who are on active duty. And one of my proudest moments was one day when there was a picture in the morning newspaper of one of our students who was deployed to Afghanistan, and he was getting from his commanding general his college diploma, which he had finished online while he was in Afghanistan. So it means that we're committed to providing educational opportunities to people who are active duty. It means that we're helping them address many of the issues that they face in terms of depression, working with families that have either the mother or father deployed. It means working with them on other healthcare issues, energy management issues, a whole gamut of issues that we have partnerships. We had a very aggressive program with the Wounded Warriors when they were deployed at Fort Knox. They've since, that unit has since been moved. But we probably have about 33 or 34 different active partnerships with the United States Army.
Yeah, I know I've talked to Renee Finnegan. She's been on this program. The liaison with the military, I guess, out of your office, and she's doing a great job. And I've also talked to Jenny Sawyer, the director of admissions, about this very issue. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have over 900 veterans that are students at UofL right now. I think.
Yeah, we have over 900 veterans. So that's another piece of this. We have our Veterans Center. So these people are older, and they're not your 18-year-old coming out of high school. So their needs from a financial aid, from an advising, from just working through the process is different. So we were one of the first schools to create a separate Veterans Center to deal with the veterans and to provide the services to them. So when you look at what we're doing with the veterans, with our Fort Knox partnership, and then the former Adjutant General of the state, he just stepped down with the change in administration. Ed Tonini said, "Hey, look, I want to be part of this." And so we've been working with the Kentucky National Guard and the Kentucky Air National Guard as part of our partnership. But it's important. Fort Knox is important. It's got a great history. It's an integral part of this region and this community, economically and in terms of the security of our nation. So it's just natural for us to reach out and develop this partnership. One of my best days during the fall semester was about 3 weeks ago on a Friday. We had our military advisory board meeting on campus, and there were 4 two-star generals on campus in one room for 5 hours talking about activities, educational activities, and partnerships. Again, our work through the Depression Center between the University of Louisville and Fort Knox.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, I know we talked earlier about the outstanding students coming to the university, and we're putting out outstanding students because we've got 10 Fulbright scholars this semester, which is a really big deal. And that really gives UofL a real bragging point to try and attract bright students to the university, doesn't it?
Really does. We had the only Truman in the state last year, and those are the Fulbrights and Trumans and other awards like that are an indicator that great students can come to the UofL, get a great education, and compete with anyone. And these are very prestigious programs, and our students are competing and are being successful. And so it helps us when we're out on the recruiting trail to be able to have these facts to brag about the success of our students. And what we tell students, and you've been out with me on the road and know, we say we want to recruit the very best and then give those students the opportunity to be successful. And that means preparing them for the workforce, preparing them for medical school, law school, professional schools, graduate school, but for these prestigious scholarships that will help them as they're moving to the next stage of their lives.
All right, we're talking with Dr. James Ramsey, the president of the University of Louisville. We need to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about all these improvements and all this construction you see going on U of L campus, and we'll also talk a little bit about a new governor in town. What's that going to mean to the University of Louisville and the other state universities in the state? Welcome back to U of L Today with Mark Hebert. We've got our first-time guest, Dr. James Ramsey, the president of the university, with us today. All right. You can't help but notice, I don't think, if you drive through South Louisville towards Churchill Downs, around the Belknap campus, that there's all this construction going on. What is all this construction going on at the University of Louisville?
Well, it's the infrastructure that we need to be what we have been mandated to be, and that's a great university. And so a great university attracts great students. So we have to provide the residence life, the food service, all the things that students want and demand when they're picking schools. And so that's a big part of this. The Student Rec Center renovation of the Swain Activity Center is being planned, new housing, new food services. So that helps us attract the very best students. The very best students want to pick a campus that they can call home, and they'll be engaged in campus life, and that improves their academic success. So this is all part of an academic strategy. Second construction you see is related to our academic work. We'll start work soon on a new classroom building, which we badly need. We're developing a research park around the work of the Speed School in 4 areas: additive manufacturing, logistics and distribution, computer technology, and renewable energy. And we're to be a research institution, and we have the research park downtown that's focused on biotechnology and life sciences. And we're very strong in those areas, and the Speed School's got a great reputation, attracts great students. So we're developing a research park around the great work that's going on there. So those are the main things that are going on here. And then we've got great partnerships with the Speed Art Museum, and they're finishing up a spectacular project that just adds to campus life. And so there are a lot of projects going on. We've got a plan that takes us through the year 2020 to complete these projects. And so a lot of construction. There'll be more road work over on Floyd Street, more traffic, but that sort of comes with it.
Well, you mentioned the research park on the Belknap campus behind the Speed School of Engineering, which you can see. You can see the 39 acres out there if you're from the upper deck of the football stadium, which is where I sit for the football games. But it's cleared right now. There's nothing back there now. But isn't there some synergy between what has been built, the GE First build, which you can talk about here, and then UL Labs is also building something on the opposite side of campus. Aren't those things part of what the Speed School is doing and part of what you eventually want in the research park?
Yes, absolutely. So on the northeast corner of campus, across from the softball field, we entered into a partnership with GE and some other companies for our first build project, and that is part of what we call our Institute for Product Realization. You mentioned the Underwriters Laboratory, and we've been selected. UL is what they call themselves, and they're rebranded. And so we've been selected by them to be their international trainer with regard to certification of electrical products in the additive manufacturing area. So we're starting that training literally right now. And then the third piece of that building is what we call our EGG, our engineering education garage. And that's an area where our students work and can take what they've learned in the classroom and apply it. Elementary students, high school students have manual students over there just about every day, manual high school students. So the idea is, as that facility has grown and is now at its full capacity, we'll start the construction of a $39 million building on the research park is south and, as we say, behind the Speed School. And that will long-term be the home for the Institute of Product Realization, which again is really focused in additive manufacturing, getting back manufacturing jobs. We can get manufacturing jobs that have been lost to other countries. We can get those back in the United States, but we have to use digital and other manufacturing techniques. So the Institute of Product Realization is focused on additive manufacturing, computer technology. It's focused on sustainability and logistics and distribution.
And when will that $39 billion building be built, and who's going to be in it? Is it you're out recruiting companies to be in it, or is it speed school folks going to be in it? How's
It'll
that?
be all. It's
Okay.
going to be students, it's going to be faculty, and it's going to be companies that want to be near students and have them working on projects and having them do co-ops and internships. It'll be our faculty resources that are available to companies, but then it'll give us real-world experience and enhance our educational and research opportunities. So soon, in January, we'll present to the board sort of a mid-year review of where we are on all the goals that we've set for ourselves for this academic year. And one of the goals we set was to start that building this year.
All right. So
This academic year.
So I'm assuming you're in negotiations. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. I'm assuming you're in negotiations with some companies to move into that space.
Absolutely. And we'll announce, Mark, not quite yet, but soon, we've gone through a search for a CEO for that project. And we'll announce an outstanding individual. We've gone through a search, national search, and we'll make that announcement pretty soon. And that will be their lead responsibility. But we think we've got enough in the pipeline right now to go ahead and get started on the building.
And why is it important for U of L to have these links with GE and UL and these other companies? Why corporate partners? What's the big deal?
Well, it's primarily to enhance the educational experience of our students, is to provide research opportunities, real-world experiences for our faculty. And then we like to say that partnerships can prove that 1 + 1 is greater than 2. And so in many cases, it's helped us with resources that otherwise we wouldn't have available to us.
Gotcha. All right. There's a new governor in Frankfurt, Governor Matt Bevin. What's that going to mean to U of L? And what's that going to mean to the other state universities in terms of funding and how things might come down the pike? Tuition for, because we've been funding more on the backs of students. So is it going to mean any difference, or is it going to be status quo?
I don't know yet. If I were predicting, I would say long term it's good for higher education. It's good for all of education. I think the short-term issue is what Governor Bevin has talked about extensively, both as a candidate and in his inauguration address earlier this week, and that is we've got to fix two things, and we've or a couple of things. Certainly the pension problem that we've got in the state, and then we also have to have a financing plan for the 425,000 additional Medicaid patients that we become partially responsible for in 2017. So I could see this budget where he would focus on those two issues. I think longer term he realizes we've got to restructure our tax system. We've talked about that for years and years back when I was Governor of Patton, and we still have to do that. The other thing that he said, which I think is a real positive, and we may not see a lot of this until we can get those problems fixed, but he said the two things he's focused on as governor is education and infrastructure. And those are the things that will allow the state to grow and prosper. And as a business person, he understands that. We've had the opportunity to meet with him individually, and he's very focused. He's put together a great cabinet. He's recruited our own Vicki Yates Brown from Nucleus, and a very strong cabinet. And I think they're going to be very focused on getting the state budget structurally balanced first, and then moving on to these initiatives that are important to all of us. I hope we, in this session, might see an increase in funding in Bucks for Brains. Governor Bevin has talked about that, and specifically has talked about the work of Don Miller at the James Graham Brown Cancer Center, and they're neighbors. So I'm sure Don has lobbied Matt when they're out taking the garbage out or whatever, and so I think we might see a push there. But we don't know. It's going to be a tough session.
All right, 20 seconds. What should folks look forward to in the University at Louisville in the spring semester? Anything? Well,
there's no question. We've got some issues that we've got to address. The NCAA and that investigation continues. This week, a report was leaked of investigation into allegations involving one of our ex-faculty members and two people at the university. So we'll continue to focus on addressing those issues. When these things come up, we try to address them very aggressively, deal with them. But at the same time, we're going to stay focused on our mission, and that's recruiting the very best students and giving them a quality education.
All right, Dr. James Ramsey, President of the University, thanks for being on. Appreciate it. Welcome back to UofL Today with Mark Hebert. Right in front of me is Sharon Carrick. She is the Assistant Director of the Fork Center for Entrepreneurship in the College of Business, and she's going to tell us what entrepreneurship is. So, Sharon, welcome to the show.
So I've been at UofL for 14 years. I'll tell you about before I came here, entrepreneurship was I owned a company with 300 full-time staff, then came here to teach entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is about creating job and opportunities, not only for yourself, but also for others. So at the College of Business, we also have not only our MBA program that we teach students how to find opportunities and harvest different ideas and opportunities that not necessarily have to be their own ideas, but we look for different kind of licensing opportunities all over the country, all over the world, literally. So we do that at the MBA level, but we also do it at the undergrad level. And so people come in and say, I don't really have a good idea. And we say, that's fine, because what we do is try to teach you to ideate and think about what are common problems that you run into every day and how can you solve those problems and how can we work together with teams to figure out how to execute those problems and come up with ideas.
So what are some of those classes that you teach? What are the names of some of those classes? If I decide to get in the entrepreneurship program at UofL, what are some of the classes that either you will be teaching or someone else in the entrepreneurship program will be teaching me?
At the undergrad level, we teach an innovation and creativity class, and we actually modeled it after an MIT class, whereby you come in and literally you're taught to not think in a linear fashion, which linear kind of 1, 2, 3 ABC.
Right.
This is really to think abstractly, and we teach you how to, again, think about what are common problems and what are uncommon solutions for those problems.
So it's a terrible analogy, but to use the term outside the box is, I'm sure, what everybody uses when they talk about that, right?
Correct.
Think outside the box, right?
And in fact, in that class, we challenge you to think of a new term that is not outside the box. And so students come up with some really creative, some synonym that comes up with something that's very unusual and different, and thinking, how do we cleverly solve a problem that's fast, efficient, and useful, and can be either brought to market, or again, it could be a process or a procedure. It doesn't always have to be an actual tangible item. So we can create license and patents and things about that. So the innovation creativity is one of the classes. Another class might be where we teach business model, business canvas ideation, again, where we take you through a whole process of looking at existing companies and seeing how their business processes work, and whereby we're really focusing in on entrepreneurial thinking within a company. So the term that you hear out in the marketplace a lot is intrapreneur, but it's really the competitive advantage of learning how to be innovative and thinking about what's the efficiency that we can capitalize on for our company, by, again, saving money or making money is really the key essence to those classes.
I want to talk about some of your success stories here in a second,
Sure.
but first we ought to mention, and I neglected to mention, that the entrepreneurship program is one of the top-rated programs in the country, is it not?
Correct. Both graduate and undergraduate, as well as we also have a PhD program that is globally known, and now we're producing professors of entrepreneurship. So we have one that's graduated that's out in California. We have one that's graduated that's in New York. And so we're really proud and excited when they win business plan competitions or business model competitions or case studies and things like that, or they have successes with business startup in their communities, because then we call them one of our own from a cardinal perspective, perpetuating the
So why is the entrepreneurship program? I know that there's a couple of different rating services and rankings that have the entrepreneurship program in the top 20, top 10 in some cases of MBAs. So how do you get there? I mean, why is Louisville and UofL's program so much better than somebody else down the road?
I think because we keep trying harder. It's not that we can just be the best this year. It's that we want to be better next year. Every year, better, better, better. And each of the student cohorts that come in actually are helping to make the next group of cohorts be better too. So they're raising the bar. They're raising the standards. They're raising the level of excellence. But I also have to say, within our community, that the whole ecosystem of entrepreneurship has changed in the last 5 years in our community. So there is a tremendous amount of support. And I give credit to the mayor for being able to say he's an entrepreneurial mayor and he's entrepreneurial thinking. And so that's the other thing that has really helped support our programs and our students is this entrepreneurial ecosystem. And people that even don't come to U of L, they get all kinds of support out in the community. I have a whole list of resources that people can go to. I certainly advocate get your college education. I can't say enough good things about doing that first because you need to be educated to be able to be within a company and launch a business or even expand a department and know and understand how things work from a business education perspective. And then the next step is what else can the community offer to support you in your endeavors?
Well, a couple of your success stories I'm familiar with. I know Van Klaus, who's one of your colleagues there in the entrepreneurship program, has led these student teams that do these competitions. Why don't you tell us about a couple of those in the past couple of years that have done well in these competitions and what they had as a product that they were marketing or pitching?
Sure. Well, I'll talk about the undergrads first that have won the state business plan competition a number of years in a row. Some have had one that was particularly interesting, a kinetic hydraulic that goes underneath a speed bump. So when you drive over it, kinetic energy was then created, and you could harness that energy to
run something?
To run something. You could plug it into your business, have those
from a speed bump.
Speed bumps, yeah, which is sort of
that's
fascinating.
Thinking outside the box. I don't
You
have a better
were.
term, but that's
Very
thinking
good.
outside the box.
So at the undergrad level, we also had recently a team that won at the undergrad level, Jockey Analytics, and the company hasn't launched, but whereby they were matching in a mobile phone application where you could go to any racetrack and get the stats for the jockey to match the horse. So you walk in, you usually just get the horse sheet, but you don't get the sheet on the jockey. So this is a mobile application potentially that would be in the future. At the graduate level, we've had teams, the two most popular that have won the global championship, which we're the only other school in the history of the global championship to win twice. And we've done that within 2011 and 2015, the first one with a cattle inoculation that was actually licensed from Auburn University, so it didn't even come from U of L.
Right.
Again, teaching students how to license different technologies that they can utilize, and that was for the hornfly inoculation with cattle. And then the second team that just won in May, the InScope medical team, which has a intubation device. And one of the team members actually was getting her MBA, but she's a physician within the university hospital system, as well as faculty at University of Louisville. And they just recently, just within the last couple of weeks, won the Vote $100,000 Innovation Award as well. So they've clocked up about $500,000 for their business to start as well.
Those two MBA teams have won hundreds of thousands of dollars in their competitions.
Correct.
And they came from the University of Louisville, which is a big deal.
It is a big deal. It is a big deal, even nationally and globally. So we're recognized even when we go abroad. We take students to Canada competitions. And the way these competitions work is usually you have to be a qualifier. You have to get to a certain level to be invited to come to them. And then this year we have something brand new, very exciting as part of the ACC. Our undergrad team will compete in April. So we hope to come right out of the gate for the very first ACC business competition. It's an innovation, creativity competition, so kind of an invention type thing. So we've partnered with Speed School. So hopefully in April we hope to ring the bell on that one as well.
All right. Last question before we wrap it up here. Community service. I know that's big in the entrepreneurship program and in the business school. Give us a brief synopsis of what you do out in the community.
Wow, lots of different things.
Well, then it's going to have to be brief.
Yes, very brief. First, I just want to invite everybody to come to Open Coffee. It's held Monday mornings at iHub. It's hosted by Nucleus, but we have one of our MBA students who hosts that. It's 8 o'clock every Monday morning. Anyone can come. All types of entrepreneurs, business people come for different topics, so that's one of the things that we're very involved in. Venture Connectors is a monthly event held down at Muhammad Ali Center, so Venture Connectors. We also have a program that we created called Vet Start that then we host, and we actually sponsor 10 veterans to go through the Nucleus Launch It 10-week program out in the community.
Learning how to start your own company.
Learning how to start your own company, and then we handhold them through their launch. So we've had 40 veterans go through that program as well. We also volunteer and help with RISE, which is the refugee, and Navigate, which is another immigrant and refugee. startup program for all kinds. There's
so you
many
got
resources.
so many things going on. That's just a bunch of stuff, right?
There's lots of stuff and lots of
resources. So
resources.
people can contact Sharon Carrick at the College of Business
Sure.
if they're interested in any of these programs, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Sharon, thanks for being on. All right. You can find all the podcasts of these programs on soundcloud.com/UofL. And this program will be on Metro TV, as are many others throughout the year. So thanks for watching and listening to UofL Today with Mark Hebert on 93.9 The Ville.